All right, audio, please be working. Come on, OBS. Zach, can you talk for me? Zach, can you talk for me? All right, we're good. Sweet. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly stream. We got a few updates for you. A little bit of chit chat at the end. It's feeling like as we get more used to the process here, it's gonna end up feeling more like a podcast more than anything. But yes, all right. So we'll go ahead and walk right through it. This Sunday is Mother's Day in the U.S. and Canada and probably some other places. Um, if you're part of the One Leaf website team, post your stand up in the core channel. We can still have a casual meeting, but we'll probably keep it over text unless we have several people that are interested. Designs for the version 1 of the website are, we've been saying this every week, they're en route to be completed soon. As far as the backend goes, we've been migrating to Vapor 4, which is like the newest iteration of our backend services, so that's in progress. Zach, I didn't have anything for OLGL. Any updates, or are we still waiting on the mobile designs, I assume?
Yeah, mainly we're waiting on the mobile design, so kind of in a lull for that.
So if you like it?
Did I say that? I forget in the last one. The last thing I remember is that we got the web view, or not web view, map view in there, so it's easier to create a map view and easily interact with it and add points and annotations to the map. And that was done by Oscar. So that's in develop now. It's going to be tested a bit before it gets released as another version, hopefully with some other features. But he's going to start working on collection views, and I'm going to start documenting again, making sure that there's the code's documented a bit, but adding to that and then adding to just kind of reading or developer docs to understand kind of not looking at the code. So yeah, that's kind of where that's at.
So
Other
for
than that, I made a cool emoji project or emoji repo. So
go look at Zach's GitHub and check it out. It's kind of cool. So for Bunny Hop, this week we released version 0.5.0. The download is on the Bunny Hop repo. We finally got some finalization on the story and theme of the game. Go check out the repo and the wiki if you're interested. We actually have somewhat of a team formed. We have two UI designers, two 3D modelers, and two game developers now. So we're starting to have more of a rounded out team on the project. Lastly, the project is going to be renamed from Bunny Hop to Jumping Jacks, as that fits the story and it has a little bit better of a description of a name. The Unity debug console is near its final release. We had one last issue with caching and auto-completing commands that we'll finish up, and then the debug console will be ready. Will, updates on Philodex and Leafdown? Any?
Nope.
Alrighty, so for Economy Manager, we're still in the planning and architecture phase. We do have I believe on our YouTube, we have the meetings uploaded. Maybe I forgot to upload them last week. I did forget to upload those. I will make a note to myself to upload those. Bread for the journey, Zach? Nothing? Design phase?
in the planning phase, we'll be getting a meeting announced for more people. It's been kind of, I said this before, it was kind of right after all the other meetings on Sunday, so we'll make sure to get a specific time to actually plan instead of just talk about progress. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at, just planning, getting the designs ready.
You want to take it away from here, Zach? Suze, what do you?
Yeah, I can take it here in a second. Let me pull up the HackMD. I was watching the stream. You're doing so good. So
but like I want
Are
to
you
eat
talking
dinner.
are you talking about the direction channel stuff?
Yep. So,
Hmm.
So yeah,
oh geez, that's mostly me. That's not good. Where's the direction channel
okay,
again? We
cool.
have so many projects.
It's
Yeah.
like we have so many developers in our team that like it's kind of silly to separate that out.
Yeah. So if there's nothing against it, then I think it was kind of uh chatted about in the direction. So, are we fine getting rid of dev talk? Do we want to archive it? How do we want to do that? Do we want to just delete it?
Any?
I'm okay with archiving it for a couple weeks in case there was some conversation that was started in there,
Okay.
and then we can delete it afterwards.
So then that brings up the topic of should we have an archived category instead of just making it the exact same because there's no indication of it's archived other than they can't type into it.
Mm,
Well, do we just archive it for like a week or two and then just delete it, or I guess moving it to an archive category isn't a bad idea.
We can do that for a week.
Works for me. We can do the same with the
Yeah.
resources channel.
didn't-
The resources. Yeah, it's weird because we have to keep it for the like
For the
the
forum.
resources. Yeah, the form. So I guess we'll just leave that. We'll just leave that right now. Because that's kind of like you can scroll through that and see all the resources. So that's I don't plan on getting rid of that anytime soon. Uh, but yeah, so dev talk and general. Really, general's kind of opened up to more conversation than just like one leaf announcements or like important one leaf talk. It's really kind of anything that one leaf's kind of about, like even like partially games and really anything. And really, if that gets on the big topic, then it's kind of finding a channel that's more specific towards that. So it's 100% fine to talk about anything in general, and at some point move it to the separate conversation if it turns into that. So don't feel like you have to talk in general and it has to be specific always to general. If a conversation devolves into something else, that's fine. But at some point, if you can realize that it has changed into a different topic, move that. That's kind of the only stipulation I have with general.
What's the difference between general and random then?
Random's random.
Random includes memes? Question mark.
Okay, and then general is
Yeah.
mostly just like more related to one leaf.
Yeah, I said anything
Okay.
that one leaf encompasses, like anything that you can relate to, like that.
Okay, because you
Yeah,
said games, and I was like, well, we have a gaming channel. So I'm just
more
clarifying.
and more of like if you're talking about a project
Like
and it
developing.
happens to relate to a game and you start talking about a game,
I
then at that point then you'd realize, okay, maybe I should switch, or it totally depends on the conversation. I'm not trying to just make blanket rules for every single conversation because I don't really care as long as everyone's not using general chat as another channel that we already have. That's why we have the channels. So um, yeah, if we're all in agreement in that and there's no one that says like they love dev talk, then we can just archive it and move from there. I think that's good. So for the other thing, and feel free to go back on that if anyone does want to talk about it, is updating more or updating and adding more rules. So it's either, well, we don't have that many rules right now. So if you go to the rules channel, we have like the roles, we have the nicknames. We don't actually have like rules. And should we have official like rules or guidelines to follow? I mean, obviously, we all have kind of the ideal rules that we abide by as like good community members. Uh, but do we need to put that into more words?
I think Vardian said it best like a month or two ago at one of these. Basically, we want to have some sort of like um, moral ground to stand on if something bad happens. That like you should have read the rules. Here's why you're in trouble. It's like the only reason I would think we would want rules.
I guess the question that the only question I have, if we get rules or more official rules or anything like that, is are they open for community like involvement at the initial, or I mean, I would assume that anyone can suggest updates to the rules through the direction channel and anything like that. How many, like, kind of like that, and I guess would this be a discussion for us three, or is it open for everyone? And if we decide that, I mean, we don't have to decide the rules right now. I'm not planning on doing that.
I think we should at least have some sort of guidelines, like speak in a professional manner, blah, 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 like I think that's enough. And if it ends up not being enough, then we revise.
If that's the case, then maybe we just have like a document on the oneleif docs on GitHub so everyone can make contributions and propose changes and that stuff. Discord's really kind of like, I mean, do we need a channel for that? Do we need to put in rules? Like, do you have to scroll up to the top? No one can edit it. No one can propose changes. So I think Discord oneleif docs would probably be the best place to have like the rules and that stuff, and just the link to that. Besides, it would be in Markdown, so
Easier to read.
yeah, you could just copy the Markdown to get or Discord, and then boom, it looks fine.
Yeah, and housing stuff in Discord's difficult, so having it in GitHub might be the way to go.
So I think the action item from that, unless anyone else wants to comment on it, is that the roots or the community managers will get the initial PR up, and everyone can review the initial guidelines and rules and request any more. Or after we get the initial in, people can add their own or anything like that.
Action items. Create initial rules on GitHub. Get community feedback.
Cool.
Sweet. Also, okay, while we're on the topic, are we using roles anymore?
Slightly. Why?
I feel like hatchling is kind of a unnecessary role.
Use Hatchling.
What'd you say?
um, it's kind of a weird one because, yeah, of course, it is one of the lingering ranks that stay around for a while. So you may click on someone that's not a hatchling, and they may still have that. But can they get rid of it?
Would you have to go back in and unselect it?
Yeah, so you just have to go back in and unselect it, I guess.
Ah.
Which we have hatchling and learner, so I mean, I'm indifferent to it, but I use it as someone's kind of newer. And also, if someone only has the egg rank and they put an introduction, I'll put them as hatchling.
I usually do the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the introductory rank. So if I see someone and I click on someone and I see they have hatchling and they've been in a while, I'll remove it. But it's really someone that's kind of like, I would say, like, maybe 2 weeks in or something like that, newer, or someone that really hasn't kind of broken out of the shell, you know what I mean? That's talked with other people and that stuff. So it partially is activity for me too. So I guess, yeah. But I'm open to change. I don't really care for the rules that much. Like, I know that they're helpful in a way, but then also they don't really mean anything because we're all kind of, community like led where we have, yeah. So it's
At this point, what do the rules specify beyond like looking for a professional developer, I mean, I feel like if someone puts a question out there, then someone would just answer regardless of the rule if they know the answer.
Yeah, it's more organized in a way that, or at least it was by like experience or what you say you are. But now the main roles to the right that you see are like functional or someone that has a responsibility. So that's where we've kind of shifted towards where the roles now, or at least the ones on the right, are more of someone that does something. Before all the ones that you see in my message, like those are just kind of categorizing people.
We'll have to talk about that in the future. I feel like we're moving to the spot where like roles are more going to be organizational focused and then opt in, so that way we can have specific channels.
I think the most useful ones are the designers, developer, project owner, like the ones that specify their actual role.
I was gonna say that too. Like the ones that describe like what the person does are honestly the most helpful. But babe, what were you gonna say?
Hmm?
What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Okay.
Oh, we also need to update the text on them. It looks like we changed the icon for branch. We aren't using the 3 ice cream things anymore. But yeah, for those watching, if you're interested and these don't make sense, we'd enjoy some feedback.
For once we get the One Leaf website out, that we get rid of most of those
Agreed.
and only go based off of tag categories of like, what you're interested in. I think at one point we'll probably just, I don't know, maybe make another Discord with all like, organizational administration teams. So then we don't have to have the roles, or like the roles can be just moved to that to understand like organizational stuff. But yeah, I don't think they necessarily benefit, or I don't think they, hinder anyone. But like if you go to general, it really kind of limits who you see, at least on the top. It's kind of the same people always. So yeah, I'm open to changing that and more based off of interests.
Well, shall we move on to chatting about mentors?
Yeah, we can do that.
So our goal with the mentorship program was kind of as the idea sounds, basically to set up a way for anybody that joins One Leaf to easily find a mentor in the topic that they're interested in. But getting that to work has proven a little bit more difficult than expected.
Well, it's not like, I mean, it is like we're trying to connect people, but we're not trying to set up a whole thing where all the mentors are, given, documents and or like lessons and all that, or to follow a certain format. Everything's really organic and voluntary. So we just try to find, or we have voluntary mentors that sign up, and we haven't taken the active role of trying to find people and trying to set up a pipeline. But now that we're getting closer to the One Leaf website, getting an update and other things like that, we're trying to get the mentors to contribute in some way, either having a mentee, finding a mentee, streaming, doing videos, writing a blog, doing tutorials, anything like that, or even bringing in a project to kind of get other people under their wing or to contribute with content.
I think with the mentor's expectation we can have is like not really setting up lessons, but more of being their go-to person when they have questions, or when the mentor is working on something, they can screen share and the person can watch or maybe even work along. I mean, with VS Code, you can use a plugin that allows you to code together just like Google Docs.
Live share.
So, sorry?
It's called live share.
Oh, so live share. But like rather than like, because having someone as a complete mentor where you're like feel like you're kind of responsible for a mentee seems like a lot of work. then rather in regards like, hey, he's online, I can watch him code, ask him what he's doing, have him explain what he's doing, maybe even like have them explain like a small task that the mentee could take care of rather than making it a whole teacher student lesson, just two people who work together, one that just knows more.
Yep, and that's kind of how we've tried to structure it so far. You can do one of many different like resources or contributions or whatever as a mentor, and one of them happens to be have a mentee. But there's multiple other things that you can do, like you said, stream, bring in an active project and have people jump on it. All of those things are, kind of a mentor. Yeah, a mentor role, and it's more of someone that's open for people to reach out and kind of have that connection. Obviously, you can do everything that the mentor does and not be that, but we're just advising that mentors can be in some way uh, like a very active developer, a very active project manager, a very active designer, or streamer, or anything like that. You don't have to just have a mentee.
I'd still classify people that like stream and teach people on stream a mentor, So I think it's pretty fitting.
Yeah, am I not? Is no one understanding me? I'm saying yes, that
No, yeah,
yes.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, that was me agreeing with
Okay,
you.
okay. Everyone's just saying the same thing, and
No,
yeah.
yeah,
So I'm like, wait, did I miss something? And they're just saying these things. It's like, okay. But yeah, really anyone who contributes with some
Sort of
resource, and yeah, I think we're open to that. We're really open to how or what a mentor is. As I said beginning, we don't have a process. We don't have a format. If you want mentees or if you want people, there's a channel and there should be conversation in that. But again, that goes back to where we are more reliant on if people actively press that they want to be a mentor, that they would, search or that they would ask us for resources. And now we're kind of turning the tables and asking, how can you contribute? How can we help?
Yeah, the only responsibility of being a mentor is contributing in some sort of way.
Well, on to the fun topics. Or anything else?
If no one has anything else on that, then yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we should probably talk about testing for the home office space just because that's a bit more on topic, but
I can't tell if you were cutting out or that was the end of your sentence.
that was the end of my sentence.
I'm down to talk about testing first. Max, as usual, has asked some more questions. I believe we talked about testing a decent bit last stream, and I'm trying to think of what we could talk about that we didn't talk about last time.
Did we talk about like unit testing or that stuff, or
We talked about like testing on like adding actions in GitHub, and like remember Machi was there at or Arcus was there, and we talked about CI/CD and whatnot.
can we talk about QA?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Do you want to lead it, or do you want me to?
Go for it.
So, QA, also known as quality analysis, or
Assurance?
assurance. I don't know.
Will?
Now I'm questioning my whole life.
Is it quality assurance? What does it stand for? I've just always
Well,
called him QA.
and it's like if you're talking to someone, isn't it like
It's
analyst?
quality assurance.
Yeah, that's what Google says. Look at us knowing, looking like fools.
Yeah, you guys are fools.
Leave.
Whoopsies!
So yeah, that's the name. But yeah, they are the testers of whatever feature is put into some software. So let's say I am adding a login for my website, and I just get done adding that in. I think it works as a developer. I've tested it. It looks like it works. So I'm ready to merge in the code. And let's say I merge in the code or I don't. But I have at that point a QA tester or a manual tester, or we were talking before about automated testing and kind of that and all that pipeline, but there's actual people that work and will test the application to see if whatever you implemented is correct. So I don't know if we want to talk about AC or spec. Well, we can at least talk about spec of a feature or anything that we work on in an application has some spec or some guide or some idea, some like functional piece of work. So for login, per se, like there would be a list of features or functional uh, things that I can do. Things isn't a good word for it, but like typing in my username, typing in my password, pressing the login button, the forgot password. All these things would be AC or the spec of the ticket or the scope. And this is kind of what I need to get done. And this is also what the QA tester will test. So they'll go through all the steps or all the functional pieces that should be along with this, and they'll test it. They'll functionally test it. Maybe they'll also visually test it, kind of see if there's any designs or anything looks weird. But then they'll also kind of hopefully go the extra effort of trying to break it a little. Obviously, they can just follow the kind of what's functionally right, but it's also very advantageous and helpful for QA testers to try to break the the software while testing those functional features. But that's kind of my long rambly overview of QA. Sabian, do you want to chime in with anything?
Yeah, AC that Zach was talking about stands for acceptance criteria. So usually in most workplaces nowadays, they're implementing some form of ticketing system. So the project manager or the project owner or the scrum master will lay out tickets for you to complete, and on that ticket, it'll have like a name. It'll have the acceptance criteria, basically the criteria that your code needs to meet before this ticket is capable of being called done. So when the tester goes to test the ticket, they'll take your latest code and they will test it against that acceptance criteria. And like Zach said, it's called ad hoc testing, where you basically go in and you try and act like a monkey spamming a keyboard to figure out how you can break it. So for example, on my bunny hop game, Zach would go in and he was trying to figure out weird ways that he could break my portals by like maybe opening the pause menu while spawning a portal, or things that you normally wouldn't think of but could still be a detriment to the user experience. And I don't think Zach mentioned it, but a lot of the times you'll have a QA team, and like you'll have a whole team responsible for making sure that your application runs as assumed. So you'll have a few different roles. Like you'll have the project manager that's responsible for the project, getting done by the way the client wants it. So they'll write up the requirements, and then the developer will get the ticket. They'll work on it. They'll give it to the QA team, and then the QA team will either just test it or they'll talk to those project managers or the business analysts that are responsible for meeting the expectations of the client, right? So maybe they go in and the login field, or maybe the password requirement is like, it needs 64 characters or something insane, and the QA team would be like, this doesn't seem right. Let me go talk to the project manager or something and figure out if this is actually what the client wants. Um, so a lot of it's kind of a feedback process.
Yeah, and so QA does testing, after the developer develops whatever. There is something called a UX audit, which is kind of similar. Which is when design goes in and makes sure that the whatever was developed on like the site or the app matches what was in the mockup. So that user experience matches what was expected. Which that's a different kind of like testing-ish. But that does happen as well. But that's a designer's role to do, to make sure that visually everything is where it should be and such.
So Max asks, so normally the people coding don't write or run the tests. Another team does that? That's a great question. A lot of the times developers will write what are called unit tests. And so let's take for example a password field. If somebody puts in like a tilde or something, and your password field is only allowed numbers and letters, you'll want to write unit tests so that way the testers don't even have to think about those things. You can just assume that they're right. There's a paradigm of development called test driven development where you get your requirements right. So let's say your requirement is to add password validation. Password validation says your password field has to have 8 characters. It can only contain numbers and letters, and it can't have more than, I don't know, 20 characters or something like that. What you do is you'd write a test and you'd say, okay, I'm going to put in some data. Is that data more than 8 characters? Yeah, and maybe for this case it says no. Well, then your test would say, okay, cool, that's not what we expected. The test fails. So you write your code to get the test to pass because your tests represent what the requirements are, right? So if the requirements that I laid out at the beginning of what a password validation should have, you could just write out that code, but you can't guarantee that works. Whereas if you write tests to say, if the user puts an input, if it's less than 8 characters, the test pass. Um, if the input has special characters, it doesn't pass, and so on, right? So if you write those tests and your acceptance criteria are clear, then you can guarantee your code works, or you can guarantee this unit of code works, just the password validation, nothing else. You can guarantee this one unit works as expected.
Unless you're missing some use cases.
Correct. And in which, go ahead.
And that's what the developers write. They write the tests, and then the QA are the ones who manually test. So that's the main difference if you're asking about testing.
Yeah, the only tests that the QA members may write or run would most likely be automated UI tests.
So like inline tests.
Yeah, and normally it's manual testing and automated testing. A lot of companies are trying to get QA people to know both. So if you did want to do manual testing, it's very beneficial to look into automated testing.
Selenium.
No thanks.
No, thank you.
Hold on. He also asked about which paradigm to use in which context. I'm away a little bit for him to explain what he meant by that question. He said, "Are you expected to know testing when applying for an entry-level job?" By the way, I didn't know testing until a couple months ago, so like, nope.
What? Wait, what? You didn't know? So with my last job, they didn't expect me to know testing at all. And then with the newest job, they were very excited to see that I was familiar with the testing framework they used. So you don't need to know, but it would look really good.
For my last job, um, I was on 2 different teams. One was research and development, in which we wrote no tests. We just needed to make a prototype. And on the other team, it was like production level code, so we did have to have a lot of tests for it. But a lot of them were already pre-written for me, and I was just fixing bugs. Whereas at my new job, I'm adding new features and new tests all the time.
Yeah. For my first, I think we just got out of the thing and debated business about the benefits of tests. So there's definitely the side of some businesses or some teams may not write tests just because the business says, we're not allocating our time for that. We're not gonna, we just want development and that stuff. But a lot of developers try to always write tests, at least for unit tests. But for like, are you asking about like unit testing or like manual testing? Regardless, I don't think either one you need to know if you're going in, but I would assume you have some QA, like if you've run an app and you've, kind of gone through the normal user flow, like that's kind of basically QA. I'm not trying to dumb down QA because it's like, obviously you can be very good at it. But it's more of kind of just understanding what are the features of the software and then testing the limits of that. And you can try that on anything. If you go to YouTube and just, click around weird or try to find something that doesn't work right that you expect, that's kind of in some way QAing.
Also, I would say from a design perspective, like, do you know how to test before? Like, at my first design internship, they showed me like all about like usability testing, and then like at my current job is when I learned about auditing. So, from a design perspective, no, at an entry level, you don't have to know like or don't have to have experience testing. But as someone in like the UX field, you should probably be familiar with what is usability testing.
Oh, to answer some more questions about testing paradigms, there's a few different like times in which you would test, right? So you'd make when you're making new code, you want to do unit tests to make sure that it works, based on the requirements that you're given. Let's say, however, that you're adding new features and you want to make sure it doesn't break previous features. Well, the unit test beforehand will help you, but at the same time, you also want to do what's called regression testing, which basically means when you add new features, let's go test some old stuff and make sure that anything that it interacted with didn't break. Um,
Yep.
there's other different types of testing, like smoke testing, for example, is like a play on words that like you want to run the machine, and if it doesn't smoke, it works, right? Meaning like if things don't like obviously
Just
break.
matches. Like, yeah, we would have times where we would like refactor a whole component in our website, and we would then create like a million data objects, like a million test users, and just throw it at it and see if it can handle that.
So there's a lot of different types of testing. Um, the conclusion is basically that you should do it as the type of program that you're doing requires it. And some
Do all
companies,
the projects right now write tests?
what's that?
Uh, do all of our projects right now write tests?
The majority of them. Zach helped me get tests working in Unity right now, so we can even test like, is there the correct number of checkpoints on this level and whatnot.
So if you want to see example tests, you can check out a couple of our projects, and feel free to ask anybody working on them, and we can give you an idea and explanation of our tests.
Yeah, we'll have to. And Sabian, you and I, will have to do a stream where we talk about and write some tests and try to demonstrate the benefits of using tests.
Yeah, like tests can get really complicated too. Like at my old job, we'd have like, you know, like database contexts, right? That would have connection strings that would give you like the IP of the database, the username, the password, some data that would already know about. And then like if you want to test that, you don't want to go through the process of manually setting all that up. So you could do what's called mocking, where basically like you literally mock that connection and like pretend that it exists and it acts as though it's supposed to. And then you move on operating under the assumption that works correctly. So yeah, I think it'd be a great idea to show those things off because like mocking is kind of a hard concept to show off or learn about.
Yeah, one quick example. Like normally, if I'm making something in iOS or something like that, I'll mock the data and throw in a ton of data. Like kind of Will said, not that crazy of data, but just enough for like me to scroll through a table or something like that to really see more than just kind of a few or one image or one view.
Yeah,
Um,
mine was a bit extreme. We had like at my last job, like we would build our like software outside of the main project to help us test. So we would have like generators of users, and like they'll go to even that far of testing. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and I was just about to say the point of mocking is getting as close to production data as you can to try to catch anything that may happen in production. Something they may do is you may even have calls or API calls that you save and turn into mock calls, and you may update them later to get them more up to date. And obviously the API may change over time, but yeah, no, mocking very useful, especially when it comes to unit tests. Because if you're testing against an like an API, or let's say you have some service that calls all of this API, you don't want to actually call the API in your unit test, or you don't want to actually write to the development database in your unit test. You want to do it to your local, or you want to do it you want to do a mock call. So if you say get all the users in the database from the API, that it would fake that call from the server and just give you the JSON that you expect or the response that you expect. That's all mocking is for at least API calls. It's pretty basic on that. You just provide the JSON that you would expect. and then you could provide the JSON of maybe, let's say, an error or a 404. Like, how does your app or how does the software handle that? And that's how you can easily do it without even testing it on your own or manually testing it. You have unit tests to test the functionality, so you have a better understanding of how it will work.
I think we've covered testing to a pretty good extent here. Any other questions, Max? I don't have anything else off the top of my head. Otherwise, we can move on to our other fun topic of the day. So the fun topic we had before Max gave us some input was computer setups. Zach, you want to talk about yours? Because you
Which
have three.
one?
Yeah, I was gonna say you have three.
So right now I'm working in my living room at my beautiful round table desk thing. But I got my MacBook. I also have my System 76 Linux computer here, but I got a 34 ultra wide monitor and a nice mechanical keyboard. Behind me, I got my gaming computer with the exact same keyboard. And then Susie has an ultra wide at her place, kind of a similar setup with a mechanical keyboard. She has two laptops, one work laptop and her MacBook, and then she also has a gaming computer. So that's all of our setups. How about you, Sabian?
I have a massive honking tower that I'm resizing here soon, and I'm pumped. I'm gonna add a bunch of RGB stuff to it. But yeah, my computer is what I use for everything. I have it dual booted. I have the majority of my hard drives dedicated towards Windows, and one of them cut in half, and I gave it like, I don't know, 500 megabytes for a Linux installation. But I have two 32-inch monitors, a Razer mechanical keyboard, Razer mouse, like desk-sized mouse pad, and I still have your VR headset, Zach.
Do you use that to code?
I haven't used it in forever, dude. I used it for that one like potential VR client, and then nothing ever happened with it, so it's been sitting on my desk.
Buy your own and give it to me, and then we'll play Pavlov.
Dude, I kind of want to play some Pavlov now.
How about you, Will?
I got an iMac and a monitor, and that's it.
I want an iMac. Oh my god. Yes.
What?
She wants to buy a nice iMac, so
So bad.
I did. I just said I used a MacBook Pro. I have a MacBook Pro that I use for work, and I just plug it into my other monitor. And I didn't want to spend as much as the new MacBook Pro, so I just got a iMac instead. Have my regrets because it's not portable, but it's powerful and it gets the job done.
yeah, there you go.
Dude, I'm still using a like 6-foot plastic desk that I got from Costco for like $40 when I
Oh,
moved into my
mine's
apartment.
from Walmart. It's a $30 desk I got. I'm working on. I want to get a standing desk.
I want
That's
one
what I'm
so bad.
Yeah, same.
about to buy one. I'm about to call it.
I saw like a $300 standing desk at Costco the other day, but it was like 4 feet long and was like too tiny to fit my monitors.
I'll send you the one I sent you was only like $325.
You gotta get the mounts, the standing desk mounts for your monitors, dude. That's what I'm gonna get because then
Oh,
You have to
that
get the
fully
arms.
saves everything.
You have to get the arms, and then you don't have to care about space.
Yep, that's what I really want to do. But it's hard to find ones for ultra wide because normally they're for normal like 27 to I think maybe 32. And 32 is like still kind of hard to find.
Does it matter? If it's a strong enough arm.
Yeah, I was looking on Amazon. I'm bad at I'm more of a Googler and then an Amazoner.
See, my last company like hooked it up nice, and now I can't go back. Now I'm sitting at home with a Walmart table when I want that standing desk. No, I sent go to
No, literally Sam.
autonomous,
autonomous?
autonomous.
So,
Yeah, those are good ones.
That's what I had on my last job.
so
That's
So literally same. Like my desk is from Facebook Marketplace is $20. It's trash. But like at work I had the nicest standing desk and like the monitors were mounted and they were 4K and I had two of them and they were beautiful. I
That's what I had
just want
right
to
there.
steal them. I just want to.
That white one. Ooh, that was
No, go
nice.
back.
To the video?
Go back and go to the one on the far right on the homepage that
The
you're at.
$600. Oh, it's an L-shaped standing desk. What?
Yeah, that's a good deal.
That is a good deal for only $589.
I know.
That's really cheap for that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You can't get like a
Susie and I are
normal
gonna
L
buy it
desk.
too, so. Oh my, it saved 200. Here we go. Not on the street. I think bamboo.
If I didn't just buy a new computer, I'd be buying this right now.
Yeah,
So
that's
you're
what I'm
kidding me.
buy all this stuff like in a row. Like I'm still furnishing my apartment, so I gotta hold off.
Just gonna bookmark that.
That's nice. But I'll vouch for their quality of desk too. Like it's nice.
Did you get it at work? Is that what you had at work?
Yeah, I had that at my last office.
The other thing that I'd recommend getting is a yoga ball. I was sitting on one like all day yesterday, like half it today. Super good on your back. Standing ups would make it a lot easier. I had my arms like hung up like a orangutan on my desk. I've always wanted a uh, mm, trying to find a good example of this. I've always wanted to set up like the PC wiring where it like looks super cool. There we go. This is what I was thinking of. I'll let it catch up to you guys. I've always wanted to set up the wiring like that. I thought it'd be super cool.
Isn't that bad for the hard drive?
To just be stuck to the wall? No.
No,
No,
I rotated.
I like no
Check out the link that I sent though.
I like no wires.
Treadmill desk. Ooh.
Oh my god, you gotta hate yourself to use that.
See, I'm not going to use it, but if I had a business, I'd buy all my employees it, and if I
And
walk by, I would
that
yell at them if
treadmill
they're
would-
not using it.
that treadmill would power the building too, so you'd save money on like electricity.
That's good.
Nice for a travel and a standing desk. If you think about it.
Can you go full sprint though?
Who runs
How fast do the speeds go on?
9 in the morning, I'm drinking my coffee, working on some code, and the guy right by me is going full sprint. It's like, what the hell?
All you hear is, and then see a monitor just go flying as I turn it up too high.
All over you. It's like, get out.
Netflix on you?
But yeah, if any of you have any cool setups, put it in the general channel. We'd love to see.
Should we have an art channel for random? Or like, I don't know, if we have some people contributing some art and that stuff, so I don't really know where they should post it. General, random, like I don't know. What do you guys think?
2D, 3D modeling or feedback is kind of what I would think it would fit under.
Yeah, if they have that interest.
That's fair. Well, feedback or random would still work.
We don't have a spotlight channel.
Huh, that's a good idea.
Art channel would be valid.
I think we can add as many random channels, because it's at the bottom and it's kind of just random discussion. But I don't know. A spotlight channel would be cool, but I don't know.
Am I adding an art channel right now? Is that happening? That's weird. We have an art channel now.
What?
I said, that's weird. We have an art channel now. How'd that happen? I didn't make it.
What's cool is that was Zach's idea, not mine.
Aren't you proud?
I'm so proud. Babe, you need to post your cats in there that you've drawn.
There you
It's
go.
art.
Hold on, I gotta show off what Austin made. I thought this was one of the coolest things I've seen done in Blender recently. Let me navigate through all the oneleif repos. If this doesn't blow your mind.
That's pretty nice.
How do you even come up with something like that? Let
You
alone make
tell
it.
me.
Yeah, I know, right?
What the hell?
The balls roll perfectly in place to generate an image. Super cool. Alright, we filled up the hour. Bye. Uh,
There you go.
I'm done with stream.
Are we? Anybody else got anything to chit chat about?
I'm looking at Baby Yoda on Reddit.
Susie has nothing.
How does that not get annoying? I feel like you've sent 8,000 of them. Every Baby Yoda meme I find, I always end up sending to you, Suze.
That's perfect. You gotta join the subreddit. It's so
Oh my gosh, it's
She-
not cute. Oh jeez. All right, I think it's a good time to end it.
Alright. Alright, thanks everybody for tuning in.
See ya.
Yeah, have a good night.
Like and subscribe. Make sure to press the bell.
Smash that like button. Destroy that.
subscribes in the bottom part.
No, my favorite was someone's like, "Oh, the link will be right below the like button," saying like in the description, but they're like, "It's just right below the like button." It's like, "Oh, that's brilliant."
Alright, I'm like, that's just bizarre.
Alrighty, I'm killing it.